forest for the trees regarding our gender identity and sexuality. When there's no place like home, empty air, an empty establishment. Friends with Dorothy, fighting for your civil rights. Out on the cruel streets tonight.
If you are what you eat, then I'm Mikado Biscuit. I am Mary, and Bridie, and Mildred, and Nancy, and Peggy, and Velma, and Lily, the leader, Jemima, Goo. I am Fuchsia, Flower Meadow, Love Hole. I'm a swamp, well I am wet and dangerous. I'm a snatch, muff, gee, minge, gant. Yeah, gant is a Cork word. I know that because I wore my gant hoodie down to Cork on school tour. G-A-N-T across the chest. This girl said to me, "Girl, do you know what gant means? It's your gowl, you gowl." I'm a fanwar, a fanny, a front bottom, forbidden forest. I'm possible. Well, you get into a basin, wash up as far as possible, down as far as possible, and then wash possible. I'm down there. It's an Irish horror movie. Don't go down there. I'm a front parlour, a geese, a gowl, a beaver. I'm a coochie 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 cut. I'm a lady, a pocketbook, a rent book, a powerhouse. I'm a castle. I'm a vajayjay, or the vajaces if you're the Virgin Mary. I'm a tunnel of love, a poo nanny, a growler, a tuppence. I'm a blurt, blurt, blurt. Sorry, it must have been something I had. I'm a foo-foo, hoo-hoo, noo-noo, woo-woo. I'm a hoo-ha, hoo-ha. I'm a goodie bag, a hairy molly, a bearded clam, a lady garden. I'm a bush, a vegeta, I'm a vine, Oscailga, I'm a vine. I'm the unmentionable, I'm a gash. Yeah, a gash is a North Dublin word. I know that because I asked a woman in Moore Street once where Trinity is, and she said, "Ask me gash." If I knew then what I knew now, I'd be like, "Where's Trinity?" I'm a peachy pocket, a fish, a universal atlas, a box, a pussy, a Narnia, diva, a wizard's sleeves, a boggy hollow, a easy bake oven, and a hoop, 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 hoop.
And that fabulous piece of music you heard was called Irish Fanny Songs, and that's a nice lead in for our special guests this week, which are Breda, Larkin and Miss Lavelle, aka the Wild Geeze. So welcome to LGBTQ+life, and welcome to DublinCity-FM.
Thanks very much. Hi, Mix. How are you?
Hi.
Yeah. Now, I had a reason for playing that song, and one of the reasons why I did play it is because years and years ago, when I was writing comedy in Australia, and we came to the guy I was writing with, we came to the conclusion that you couldn't tell where people came from because everybody had the same accent, rich, poor, north, south, east, west. But what we did discover is that you could tell where somebody came from by the terminology they used for the male appendage. And we also discovered that they had more words for the male appendage than just about anything else under the sun. So when I heard this song, I thought, does it work the same way in Ireland, that you can actually tell where certain women come from by how they describe as what they would say in South Dublin as the ladies' garden?
Varies. Yeah, well, that was kind of came about because I asked people on Facebook, what do people call their vaginas, and just big thread came up, and well, there was a few from Cork and Dublin and Galway, but Ballinasloe, it's always been your gee in Ballinasloe.
Well, again, a very interesting one because everywhere I've been around the world, nobody else uses that term except in Ireland. And well, of course, you've got it as part of the name of the band. It's a strange one, isn't it? I've never known where it came from, other than in Ireland.
Yeah, well, the other day, chi, like people they talk about their chi gong, they say you're chi, so I'm all about my chi and my ghee. So I take care.
They use it in India for cooking.
Oh, yeah,
Ghee.
that's
That
right.
is true. It's a congealed
Yeah.
butter or something, isn't it?
Can it smells funky. It tastes tangy as well.
Good for you though.
Yeah, very good. for you.
But I have to take you to task on that one, Brenda, because you were saying in the song, for those who listen to it, that the word gash is a North Dublin expression. Now, I grew up in North Dublin. I like to think of myself as quintessentially North Dublin, but I never heard that term until I went to Australia, where it's one of many terms of endearment for women.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was called up, and someone from the north side said that to me once as well. I don't know where it came about. I think I just got
She just wanted to use it in
I
the
just wanted
song
to use the song,
and
then-
include Dublin.
and I asked Winnie. I asked Irish or Carol would she do it for me, so she did it in our kitchen in the green screen. So asked me gash.
Yeah.
So I suppose it just kind of rhymed, but yeah, I think gash. I mean, I've heard it. I've never.
I've never, as I say, I grew up in on the north side of Dublin, and I had never heard. I mean, I heard it plenty of times, and I was shocked, I'll be honest, when I first of all heard it in Australia. But I had never heard it here, so who knows? Maybe we're importing those terms now. And I won't tell you.
I'll go back to my notes and see who wrote it in the. 'Cause I still have the thread where everyone wrote one, so there's a few. So I can match up the names someday.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get too focused on this, otherwise. But it always struck me that the song is called Irish Fanny Songs. Now, I grew up in a place in Dublin that's called Ballybuck. Now, that's the British expression for it, which was really actually Ballybucked. So I tell people I came from Poortown. But it always struck me that the word fanny actually came from the word fáinne. In other words, the British soldiers couldn't actually say it, show us your, etc., etc. What's your thoughts on that one as a undoubted Gael girl yourself, Breda?
Oh, about show me your ring.
Undoubted.
Exactly.
Fáinne is a ring, isn't it?
Fáinne's a ring, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Show me your fáinne. I like that. Show me your fáinne. Well, you can have. I don't have a fáinne here, but I have a fáinne there.
Or Fáinne and Merriweather.
Well, that's
Isn't
all
that
you
in
need.
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
The three fairies, Flora, Fauna, and Merriweather.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's talk about your background. I mean, Laura, you're a dancer, if I am correct. You're a burlesque artiste, and you also are a burlesque teacher as well. What's the background to that? How did you gravitate towards that line of the arts?
Well, I was never good at maths.
Yeah.
So I have great tits. So I just said, feck it, I'll use what I have and make money that way. No, I've
Quite
always
a simple formula. She
Yeah,
said
very
she's not good at
simple.
maths. It's a simple formula.
Yeah, simple. So I was like, the one thing I am good at is counting singles. No, I don't know. I've always been a performer. I've always been a singer, and I have a degree in music and dance. And I don't know. I just really loved old 1950s pinups, and I just loved that kind of look and that feel. And then when I discovered burlesque in London back in the day, I just did some classes in it, and then that was it. Bang, I was teaching it straight away, and then it's just stuck, and I just love it. I love the feeling of it, the essence, and I suppose in Ireland, where we come from, the history of women in Ireland isn't exactly the most liberated, and I feel like it's my way of doing this to the system and the Catholic Church.
Well, if you like 50s pin-ups and 50s fashions, can I recommend you watch season 4 of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? because
Oh,
of,
we've
love
seen
it.
it. Yeah, we've seen it.
because
Yeah,
season 4 is just, I just finished watching it this week, and season 4 is set in a burlesque house.
Oh,
Oh, no
that-
way! I
it
didn't know
is-
this was a new season, actually.
you
What?
if you liked the first 3,
Yeah.
you will absolutely love this one because the aesthetic is just it's fabulous. The
yeah,
fashions
they
are
do get it
awesome
right,
as well.
don't they?
Yeah, and it also has a very touching piece with Lenny Bruce as well, who's always been a favourite of mine. Can I come back to yourself then, Breda? The song that we heard, Irish Fanny Song. Now, what I always say is that one person's taboo is another person's emancipation. So when you conceived this song and put it all together, what were you trying to do? Were you trying to shock, or were you trying to educate, or perhaps simply entertain?
Well, actually, well, it was all of it, really. I honestly came out of nothing. I was, before I met Laura, I was just on Facebook, honestly, like, what do women call their vaginas? And I almost transcribed it exactly and then just put an old chorus on it.
Yeah.
With the who, the new. That's just kind of came up, put a few chords to it. But I suppose at the time I was like, because it was the choice, like it was the campaign repeal for choice, like the kind of take your pick, like there's a lot of choice words for your vagina if you'd like that way. And I also kind of like wanted, because I did leave out some stuff, that some ones that I would consider kind of a bit more crass, like cum sponge and axe wound and sausage wallet, things that maybe, so these that mostly came from women, you know, like yoni. There was like, you know, there was other ones like wizard sleeve and universal atlas that and you know, people kind of just think, oh gosh, I never even think about it.
Yeah, we do it much better live in
I
person.
know. Well, people will get the opportunity to see that, won't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they will, like the old stony
hopefully.
banter, we pull it out of the
But
bag.
now that Breda's met me as well, like before Breda used to wear
I used to wear the fanny.
the fanny
Yeah, but she
herself.
did.
Yeah.
But now that she's met me, it's like it's
She's
almost
the
by
fanny.
fate that like the person who made it for her like gave it black curly hair, so it was just
Yeah.
meant to be.
And there was me thinking it was an outdoor sporran.
Now she has legs, literally. Like,
But
we do great.
it's interesting. I was watching an interview because I have a lot of time in my hands with Mark LeBlanc,
He's a growler.
who we all know as Joey Tribbiani, and he did some TV series in the UK. And they asked him what did he think of the difference between American and British comedy, and he said what shocked him when he came to Britain originally was our liberal use of the C word. We can't get enough of it. And if you ever go to Australia, well, it's they just yeah. But it struck me. What is it about the C word that people find offensive in public that you can't actually say Cork?
Yeah. I think I quite like the word because I suppose when I was looking up like Kundalini, kin, country, it all comes from that word. That's how it and it all kind of. So it really was just right for a powerful word, and certainly I think a lot of people don't like hearing it or using it. So when you put it in the context of a song, you're coochie cunt, you know, it's more playful. So it's not. It just depends how you use it, really. I think nobody. Do people? I don't know anyone that calls their cunt a cunt. Would you?
It definitely comes up. Yeah.
It's interesting. I've never heard a male complain about it. Generally speaking, it's always women, and again, I suspect that's probably the way we have educated women to feel self-conscious or whatever. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's very. If you called your cunt, you know, you would feel very empowered by it. I don't think you'd be shy away from. So maybe it's something in themselves that they're not able to look at their own.
Self.
Self.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's go.
Liberate themselves. They should liberate themselves. It's only a word, isn't it right?
So let's go back to the individuals themselves. I gather you are a person of the land, Breda. Is that correct?
Yes. I grew up on a farm. I still farm with my father. You know, we're just in transition, seeing what we could do. I'm in a farm organization as well, so I'm very active.
She grew up on the farm, avoiding dikes, just to spend the rest of her life facing them.
That's the truth. Yeah.
And as How did you find that in growing up? Because over the last, say, particularly since COVID, I've been doing a lot more work with people in rural Ireland. And what we discover is that there's not an enormous, in terms of diversity, there's not an enormous difference between rural and urban Ireland. It's just that in urban Ireland, we're all closer together, whereas I think the same level of diversity exists in rural Ireland. But the people I knew who grew up in rural Ireland often thought, "Oh, I'm the only lesbian in the village, or I'm the only gay man in the village." What was your experience growing up in rural Ireland?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't out or anything like that one until I was about 20, late 20s and stuff like that. So I just grew up in a big family and sort of the farming community playing camogie and soccer, and it was just very classic. I was very idyllic childhood, really, and I never, I suppose I never knew any gay people or anything like that. So, but I found the whole, I mean, certainly for everyone would say the same thing, the marriage equality campaigning really was just very healing and very, conversations started happening, and then you're like, oh yeah, I have a cousin who's gay too, and never really said it, but I just sort of was more interested in sports and different things. I didn't think about the sexuality or anything like that until I was in my college and then later on in my 20s and stuff. But the truth is, I took magic mushrooms when I was 24 and realized I was a lesbian. That's kind of
God, you were late.
I know.
That old chestnut.
I mean, my friend wrote in a letter we all wrote to ourselves in the Leaving Cert. She and the nuns sent it to us 10 years later. And Ella's, I said mine, I hope I marry by now and have a baby and be a film director. And Ella, her first thing was, I think Breda's gay. So I was saying, why did you tell me? So I was very oblivious, I think, even though I love Martina Navratilova and had an imaginary camogie team and Mary Poppins. So, but definitely diversity. Even now, I mean, I think that a lot of people move away from rural Ireland. They're naturally drawn into the cities because that's where their people are.
It's harder to be a woman farmer than a gay farmer, huh?
Yeah, well, it's true.
It's harder to be a woman.
It's funny you should say that, Laura, because when I was working with Tenny and we were trying to change the gender recognition law, it was, what we found is that there were more than you would imagine trans farmers out there, and it must have been incredibly lonely and incredibly, shall we say, challenging. And what I'm discovering now is that there is a lot more LGBTQ plus people out there in rural Ireland, but now there's somewhere for them to go or somebody to talk to. And in many respects, that's the great legacy of marriage equality. It's not the fact that we all get to walk down the aisle with bunches of flowers or any. Yeah.
100%. That's exactly right. They started to understand people in your community. I know loads of gay farmers, LGBT, trans, and gay male farmers. But yeah, it's true. Women in agriculture is a whole different battle in a way. The women. So it's just a different set of circumstances with the patriarchy and stuff. But certainly anyone that goes into farming, it is an isolating profession anyway. So I believe in community farming. I'm really for that. So maybe a queer community farming tribe.
A queer commune is what she's driving.
So would you be more attracted to the animal husbandry, or shall we say? How can I put it? Growing things.
Well, a bit
She's
of both.
Definitely attracted to the animals.
I mean, I do like
what you're asking.
I like milk and cow. I like the bullocks. I mean, I do admire a nice bullock. I mean, lots of admire Daddy's bullocks, but
and plums.
And his big plum tree.
His juicy plum.
So let's get back to the matter at hand, and that is the Stony Batter Cabaret on the 1st of April up there in Ockram Street. Now,
Yeah.
You've almost become like a bit of a house band up there because you've been playing certainly since the lifting of COVID restrictions. You must have played half a dozen times up there. To great acclaim, I hear.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah, it's
we're
going really
working
well.
really hard on it. We're busting our ass. We're making sure it's monthly, and we just had a really great Paddy's Day one. Like we thought we've some big flaps on us because we put on a show on the Saturday night of Paddy's weekend, and yet it was so busy. Like we're so appreciative of anyone who comes to see us, and they always have a great time. We put on a great show, like with the sexy Guinness toucan getting her baps out, and like we had great, like Breda was cosplaying as Jim Core with her tinfoil hat, and it was just a great show.
So, what's your audience consist of? Is it primarily women, or is it, does the, shall we say, the double Y chromosomes, do they rock up there as well?
They're starting to
They're
catch
starting
on.
to catch on. Yeah, we have a predominantly female audience.
A lot of power lesbians.
Yeah.
And they're the ones with the money, let me tell you.
They're the ones with the power.
Yeah. But they're so great. They're so supportive, and it's actually predominantly female and straight female too. It's like with my shows, I do a cabaret show in Limerick as well, and like a lot of the audience that loves burlesque is straight women. It's just women who appreciate women showing their souls and their tits.
The only way I can answer that, Laura, is in my experience, all women are straight until they're not.
Yeah, until they make it.
But you've got quite. You guys are obviously the headliners, but you've got quite a range of support acts. At least more than half of whom I know personally. Let's talk our way through them, because I wonder what is the synchronicity between them, because we start off with David McSavage. Now, people will know David from the television, but I know David from chasing people down the street in Temple Bar, and he's not only a very funny man, he's also quite a physical performer as well. I mean,
here's hoping. No, sorry, I'll be cancelled if the roles were reversed. No, to be honest with you, I randomly met him on the street, and I just took it upon myself to say hello and ask if he'd do the show, and he was really nice about it and said yes.
Yeah, no, I interviewed David must be about 12 years ago now. Somebody asked another station I was with, and they said, "Oh, can you interview this guy? He's quite bizarre." And I'd never heard of him. For about the first 5 minutes, he was very reserved. And then he realised, hold on, this guy is as crazy as I am. And we got on like a house on fire. And like yourself, I met him in the street again about, say, 2.5 years ago. And he's not that different in the street than he is on stage. That's what I can say. But tell us then, Breda, you've also got another good friend of the program, Bella. Now, she's probably going to be. Is she in competition with Laura, or is she in? I know the act that she does, but
she does.
Are we branching out on the burlesque here?
Yeah, because she's incredible.
Yeah, we have burlesque before. We had Patsy Pleasure in December. And so we mostly it's comedians. So, but last month we had the singer and stuff. So we do a bit of variety, but so a bit of new burlesque.
Yeah, Miss Burlesque Ireland 2018, I believe.
2018, yeah. So she's fantastic.
She's unreal, but I just love, like, because it's April Fool's Day, so it's all about acting the fool, and like she does camp burlesque really well. Like she does sexy and sultry, but like her like fun camp acts are just so animated and brilliant, and she makes all her own costumes and puppets and props. Like she's a staple in the burlesque community, and also she's local, she's a Dublin girl, so
yeah, she certainly is, and she could talk under wet cement, as I discovered when I had her on the program. So the other person you've got on, who I know very well, is Teresa. Teresa's unique in comedy in that sense. as she said, she's a limp-up comedy, and she's also got a very vulgar turn of phrase as well, which...
yeah, that's why she fits right in with us. Yeah,
now, the last time she was on here, I said, look, you know, there's only so many of the F words that you can get in, so what I'll do is I'll bleep it. And we bleeped. We ended up with about 2.5 minutes of a 3-minute song that was just bleeps, which went out on the radio. But the
no bleeping it now at this show. She's
in there and a good few stages now. Yeah, I just want to mention that it's unfortunately it's upstairs, so I mean it might be a challenge. It's not exactly wheelchair accessible, you know. So the trade we did. But she's going to, like I said, limp up the stairs. Luckily, she can do that. But that's so. We have a gig actually. If people want to see us in maybe a more ground floor facility, it's Street 66. We're doing a cabaret show on Easter Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. Other good friends of ours as well. You know, we've had Shiv on the program, and we're great supporters of Street 66. So we'll let people know about that. So. Before we play out, and I'm going to play out with a song that as I said, I really love, which is a song called Annie Oaks. Just let people know the details. It's the 1st of April. It is it's in Stony Batter. It's in a pub called Kavanagh's. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Number 1 Ockram Street.
Ockram Street. So just think of Rim and you'll be all right.
And that's where I'm from, Ockram. I'm from Ockram as well. So.
Imagine if Pete St. John had written the Fields of Ockram. It probably wouldn't have been as popular. But look, it's €15 to get in. Is it? You can get the tickets through Eventbrite. Can you pay on the door on the night?
You can pay on the door. Now it has been. You know, it does get sold out, and there's only limited to 60 because of the upstairs, the fire marshals. You know, that's why the venue is a little. It's great. We're very grateful to have it, and it's that's the rules with the upstairs venue. You know.
Yeah.
But yes, you can pay
you can pay at the door.
Of course you can. Yeah. Before, as I said, we're going to play out with a song called Annie Oaks. Now, as I've said. To me, this has got that really good eco-punk feel about it. What's the origins of this song? I mean, just share that with listeners before we play out.
Yeah, well, I wanted to do a show for Galway 2020 about the environment and agriculture. It was called 10-10-20, The Land is on Drugs. And I still might bring it back because lockdown stopped it. But so the money I had for that to put on a big show wasn't going to happen, so I decided I'd put it into video and do a song. So I went into the studio, and really me and Laura, we wrote a lot of it on the day in the studio, trying to rhyme things. And we had the idea, we had the kind of Annie Oaks, Annie Oaks, Annie Oaks, and I really wanted to do the video with the Burlesque girls. So I have Bonnie Boo and Patsy Pleasure there in the video, so people could enjoy that video.
So basically, she got funding from Galway 2020 to get women in.
Oh, even better.
In January.
Now, since we started talking about North Dublin, when we talk about yokes in North Dublin, we don't be tending to talk about trees. Any double entendres there in the song that we should look out for?
We do say it on stage that we had, you know, at a festival. I did come up with the idea when people would do say Annie Yokes. My friends always shouting Annie Yokes, Yokes, and I had acorns. I had a load of acorns in my pocket because I always tend to have a few seeds in my pocket. But I was handing them out and I was saying Annie Oaks, you know, and that's kind of how it started in my head. Annie Oaks, and then a few double entendres there. Yeah.
French and Saunders.
Look,
French and Saunders.
All I can say to people is get up there. Kavanagh's, Ockram Street, the 1st of April. You're probably going to be playing there elsewhere. And look, there is a treat in store, whether you're male, female, trans, or even just an old codger like myself. But Laura, Breda, it's been an absolute delight. You've not disappointed, and we look forward to seeing you live very soon. So let's play out with Annie Oaks.
Thank you.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you.
the gwitch, it's Bridget. Bridget! Keeper of the land. We need to plant more native trees.
Respect your elders and your elders.
It's Bridget and her garden hose.
Let me tell you about ash trees. 20K cut a year just for Hurleys. Finna fall like my rhymes to be acting tight. Made a rash decision with zero foresight. Importing trees from across the seas, bringing ash to their knees. Now they're all diseased. Why you mad, finna fall? We just spitting facts. Because you being cheap, brought in ash dye back.
Scots pine, she's fine. Tall and majestic, oh yeah, she's Celtic, a forest can start anew. All we need is a spade, some seeds and you. Hawthorn, she's a witch's tree, full of magic, healing and mystery. In the middle of the field she stands alone. No one dares cut her down cause they're turned to stone.
Adios, 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 adios.
3% native trees, that's a travesty. That statement should be a blasphemy. Sit in the cabaret and plant some trees so the next generation can breathe. Willow, can you go? 3% Willow, can you go? 3%.
Now the IFA won't let me be me, so let me say. They're trying to shut me down while planting trees, but the world is empty without the trees. What's up, Quilcha? We're sick of ya planting non-native trees like Sitka. Tons of glyphosate killing good bacteria. You're not fungi, you're diphtheria.
Blackthorn, the mother of the woods, sharpen thorns and spikes to protect her goods. Are you slow? Her berries flavor your gin. Think of that next time you be drinking. Her branch, her sap, she's pussy or she's crack. She's willow, use me for biomass. Compass me like an alder tree.
Why not plant trees? I asked the women. Let's plant trees. And the women said, well, we would plant trees, but we don't know how. And that started the whole story of let's learn how to plant. And we called the foresters because to plant a tree, you need a diploma. I said, well, I don't think you need a diploma to plant a tree.
Birch, it's cold in here. There must be CO2 in the atmosphere. Are you nuts? Plant hazel. She's edible and incredible. Moo, beach, get out the way. Get out the way, beach, get out the way. For your bush. It's coarse, of course. For your bush. It's coarse, of course. Any oaks, any oaks. Any oaks, any oaks, any oaks. Any oaks.
3% native trees, that's a travesty. That statement should be a blasphemy. Sit in the cabaret and plant some trees so the next generation can breathe. Willow, can you go? 3% Willow, can you go? 3%.
Rolling, I'm rolling. You can find me in the burn. Any oaks, ay, any oaks, ay, any oaks, any oaks, any oaks, any oaks, any oaks, any oaks, any oaks. EU average is way more than that.
Friends of Dorothy come out off the sidewalk and onto the street to the sound of those legendary feet. When there's no place like home, anti-him, anti-establishment. With the chaff and the short straw, they'll have a stuff for sure. Anti-him, I'm anti-establishment.